Hello and welcome to our new week on business plan development. We'll start our week by defining the business plan. We'll talk about what is a business plan, why entrepreneurs should write a plan, as well as some of the advantages and disadvantages of great business plans. Fundamentally, your business plan highlights what you're going to do as the entrepreneurial team to create, launch, and manage your venture. There's special attention paid to marketing, operations, and finance, and this really sets the landscape for what it is that you plan to do with your venture. It should provide as much detail as possible based on the business model canvas that has been done and other research that you have to really outline what it is that you plan to do with your venture. It will quantify the market opportunity. It will give great detail about your competitors. It will talk about your team, both now and future hires. And it will do all of this within approximately 15 to 20 pages. So in that way, it gives you sufficient space to provide a fair amount of detail about your plan, including the financials, but it's also short enough that investors will actually read it, that grant makers will actually evaluate it, and that it's not burdensome or too lengthy for them to spend their time with. Fundamentally, I believe the greatest audience for the business plan is the entrepreneurial team, and that it provides your owner's manual for the company. And in that way, even if you aren't looking to raise money to start the venture, I would still encourage you to write the plan, and that will help you put your ideas on paper, see where the connections and gaps are, and also set some goals as well. So why write a plan? Well, one, it certainly faces you to be objective and critical in looking at what it is you want to accomplish as a company and as a team. And it also gives you an opportunity for others to give you feedback. It will certainly help focus your ideas. And as you begin thinking about what you want to do and what are the resources and time required to do that, it will help you validate and or modify what it is that you plan. The finished plan can also be an operational tool. So in that way, when you are forced to sit down and think about what are my revenue goals in month one and quarter one and year one, and what are my expected expenses, and what's my expected marketing reach, you begin to put those things on paper, you date those, and then you're able to use that as a tracking tool to see how you're performing as a company, and if you're not reaching those goals, how you can adapt. In that way, it can certainly help manage the business and prepare you for success and be a communication tool. So in that way, as you are going out and talking with prospective partners or even raising money, they are often looking to understand these elements and are looking to see a plan that really provides the basis for your financing proposal. So in the context of looking at angel investors or venture capitalists or angel debtors, all of which we'll talk about next week, the business plan is certainly fundamental for them to have something material to evaluate. The plan also tells the story of the entrepreneurial team and put yourself in the seat of investors or in the seat of a bank officer making a loan. What do you want to know about the person you're lending the money to? And the short answer is everything. You want to know their backgrounds, their education, their experiences and their skill sets, their reputation. You want to know that they're realistic about the risk and rewards that they see within the venture. You also want to get a sense of who they are and who they need to make the venture successful. So what is the current team? What are the roles and responsibilities? And what are they going to do to be able to go out and hire great people to join that team? You also want to think about explaining within the plan what your perceived risks are and how you're going to manage those risks, as well as what your motivations are. And so in that way, it's within the business plan, you have the opportunity to outline all of this in a broad context, and you also have the opportunity to sell the team themselves to the prospective investors or lenders. Within the business plan, there's also the opportunity to define exactly what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And what I mean by that is when you look at the value chain for companies, you'll find rare is the company that develops products, designs, manufactures products, sells products, services products. Most companies will do a few things, and they typically have a firm infrastructure. They have some human resources element where they are developing organizational structure, they're hiring into that, and they have an internal management team. They may do some degree of technology development, and I use technology broadly here, and that if you're developing or designing a new product, you as the company are actively involved in that conception phase, in that ideation phase, and in that design and development of that product or service. Now, these elements, broadly called marketing or pre-marketing, are oriented towards the types of things that happen in the manufacturing and in the operations, in the distribution, in the supply chain. But in essence, rare is the entrepreneur that's going to build a factory to build their one product. What they're going to do instead is find people that are good at these things, find people that are good at procurement, find people that are good at logistics and operations and manufacturing, and you'll find partners, you'll find suppliers that will fill many of these gaps. Now, you may also, as I mentioned earlier, find partners that do marketing and that do advertising. And if you are a wholesaler and you're going to sell your product into retailers that in turn are going to sell your product to the end user, you may find that you are not involved in this marketing and sales piece either. Now, you still have some degree of marketing and sales to do to market and sell your product to that wholesaler, to that intermediary, but you may not be doing that to the end customer or the ultimate end user. So in that way, it's important within the business plan to think about what needs to be done, what you're going to do in-house, and what's going to be done by others via an outsourcing or the partnership relationship. So I mentioned advantages of great plans as something we discuss, and one advantage is it gives you that yardstick. It gives you that performance measure. It gives you that number that we were committed to, that revenue goal that we thought we could reach, and you're able to objectively go and see, did you indeed do that? And if so, why? And if not, why not? It's also a starting point for other plans you may develop within your venture along the lines of the operations and the marketing and financial plans, and that in time, each of these will emerge as their own plans as these own teams emerge, and it gives them something to work with. It can also give you a demonstrated focus of you recognize what can we do with our limited time and resources, and or how are we going to phase the growth of our company. The business plan should also connect all the elements of the company. For example, you may define your product concept, you may define how we're going to market that, and you have to put a budget to that as well, and you can look within your financial statements to see, is the budget that we are using appropriate for the marketing plans that we have? Can we afford that radio campaign? Can we afford that online campaign? And so in that way, it gives you the opportunity to make connections across the disparate pieces of the business. It can also be very helpful in attracting the management team and other senior level employees to the company when they see not only where are you now, but where are you going to be in the future, and what is it that your business plan is forecasting. And it greatly improves your ability to raise funding. And what I mean by that is typically investors are going to want to see your plan before they're going to take the time to meet with you and talk in great detail about your venture. It gives them the opportunity to see what you see as far as the future of your company and the future revenues and profits of your company. And or if you're doing a nonprofit and you need to raise money from grant makers or other foundations and the like, they oftentimes want to see a business plan as well. It may be in the form of a grant application where you really have to go through and define your customers and your market, your finances and your team. But in essence, I would call many of those types of plans business plans as well. Now, there are disadvantages of great plans. It takes time. It takes research. You don't write this in a weekend or even a week. It may take multiple weeks or even a few months to put together a strongly supported plan. It also has to stand up to critical challenges and changes in the market. So in that way, we can't take months and months and months to write a plan, or that window of opportunity may have closed. What we also have to do is find research that indicates that somebody other than us sees opportunity, and we're able to, in that way, go through and have references and data that supports the plan. And that helps in it being honest and it being critical. And in that way, what we mean is that not only are you claiming that things are taking shape in the market, not only are you claiming that there's a market opportunity, but you've done your research, you've done your surveys, you've done your secondary research of journals and articles and other database, trade publications, etc., to really back up what it is that you are claiming. It also needs to be updated. And so a business plan isn't something that we write once, that we raise a little money, and then we put our business plan in the folder and never look at it again. It should be a living document. It should be something that's revised periodically. I would say probably every few months as opposed to every few weeks once the business is up and moving. But in the early days, it might be every week or two that you're updating your plan because things are changing and you're learning a lot, and your business plan and forecast should adapt as well. It also needs to be accepted by the management team, and for this reason, it's a great communication tool amongst co-founders or amongst the senior executives of the firm, and that it really puts something down that people visually are seeing, they're reading, and they're buying into. So in summary, business plans are the owner's manual for your company. And whether you hope to raise money or whether you are going to launch a venture on your own without external funding, it's a great tool to help you plan and grow and adapt your business. Now, it does require significant time, particularly in later revisioning to stay relevant, but I would say that it's certainly worth it. And in this way, when you have a plan and a destination, I believe it's a greater chance you're actually going to reach that destination. And in that way, the business plan is a great tool for doing that. Thank you.